So I don't know if I'm gonna be making or uploading this video because surprise, surprise, I'm a little drunk because that's what I'm doing with my life is drinking on a work day because I have to go to work in the morning. That's not sad. But you know who is sad is these empaths, as Cameron F305 calls him, or the what everybody's calling him, which is the new content cop. He basically just trashes iDubbbz like a fucking professional at this point. He's so good at it. And same with Hassan and all these other fake virtue signaling fucking cowards that pretend to be empathetic, that to pretend to be these virtuous, awesome people, and we're standing up to injustices and all this shit, but they're just a bunch of fucking bullies who who are everything that they claim they don't like. Um, and I'm glad that someone finally called out Dark Viper. And when I saw this title, at first I was like, "Oh, is this guy real? He's collabing with Dark Viper. I fucking can't stand him." And then when I found out that the joke is that Dark Viper basically does this to everybody, where he says featuring this person, but it's not really featuring them. He's just shitting on them or being a fucking psycho. Someone criticized me, dude. He cannot take criticism. This guy, he is a fucking lunatic, and he is the thing that he said after Charlie Kirk's death. I mean, you should really. I hope that I cannot wait until something. I don't even want to say that. I was going to say I can't wait until something bad happens to you, but no, I don't hope that happens. But what I do think would be justified if something happened to you is if someone sent that tweet to you, sent that same tweet to you, and I hope it ruins your day. Because, but you know what? But is that a messed up thing to say? You know what I mean? Because, and this guy really does a really good job in this video breaking down, like, okay, well, listen, obviously there's cases where, sometimes it's moral grandstanding to say this, but sometimes it's not. And I think that this guy is more than qualified to take up the mantle of content cop. So I'm going to stop bullshitting and talking whatever. But, dude, this little clip of Dark Viper is so is just so like exposing for what he is.
Cost is to feel nothing at his death. Empathy would betray his philosophy that we ought to show a brutal disregard for the well-being of anyone unlike ourselves. I'm glad you chimed in. Everyone knows that Australian GTA speedrunners, who are also giant crybabies online, are the best source for American political analysis. Look, there are multiple things wrong with this post. First of all, Dark Viper would be the first person to flip his shit if a dark joke was made at the expense of himself. In fact, he actually does that with the 14 pages meme.
I don't think Ethan is a very good person, and he's using a soundbite of one of the most traumatic, angry moments of my entire life for many, many years on his stream, perhaps 100 times, is a bit more than excessive and very sick.
The most traumatic
It's 14 pages!
That's the most traumatic moment. One of the most traumatic moments in this guy's life is him yelling, "It's 14 pages! It's 14 pages!" That's one of the most traumatic experiences of his life. What a fucking loser. What an absolute baby fucking bitch loser. Like, how sheltered of a life do you have where the worst thing, one of the most traumatic experiences in your life is getting mad over some dumb fucking internet bullshit drama and going, "It's 14 pages." And then you're gonna go and grandstand someone after their death. And this shows the complete ignorance and lack of self-awareness of these types of fucking scumbags. And I'm so glad somebody finally called out Dark Viper for this. Because every time you look, nobody really seems to ever say anything about him. Probably because he's a fucking psycho and he'll leave 750 pages for you to read. What was that fucking from season 4, fucking first episode of Friends? He was like, it was 18 pages, front and back. Yeah. Dude, I really can't stand Dark Viper, so I'm so glad someone's calling him out.
14 pages of rules for life. It's 14 pages. You can take it as the on-view document.
Second of all, the overall sentiment contradicts itself, especially considering his constant virtue signaling, which he quickly continues after this post. But before I get into my other problems with Dark Viper's argument here, the last thing I'll mention now is that he quotes Charlie's take on empathy out of context.
The new communication strategy is not to do what Bill Clinton used to do, where he would say, I feel your pain. Instead, it is to say, you're actually not in pain. So let's just, very short clip. Bill Clinton in the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time. Here's cut 65. Bill Clinton talking about how I feel your pain. Listen to how he's talking. Listen to how he's trying to lean in to people's struggles and concerns.
So Charlie was critical of the term empathy and said that we should have sympathy. I personally disagree, and I think we should have both. This clip alone has me a little mixed. However, shortly after that quote, he criticizes politicians for not having empathy towards citizens.
Of why are Democrats now not even acknowledging things are difficult? So let's go to this tape. Cut 49, Janet Yellen. I think the United States is doing very well. So people are in pain. They can't pay for bills. They can't pay for groceries. They can't pay for gas. And Democrats could at least say, we feel it. We're going to figure it out. We're going to try to, come to common ground. No, instead it is, no, actually things are great.
I actually had no idea about that until researching for this video. So saying Charlie said he thought feeling empathy is bad is inaccurate based on the source. But 30 minutes after that tweet, he followed up with, I believe empathy matters, and gun violence is never a worthy sacrifice. It's tragic that Charlie Kirk rejected those values in life. Against his passionate wishes, we should see his death as unjust and commit ourselves to reducing the very harm he worked to spread in life. That's not even a...
Yep. This is what these types of people do. This is what they do. They take something and they twist it and they just keep twisting it and twisting it and twisting it until the point where now people that really haven't heard the clip and aren't even aware of it, they hear it 2 years, 3 years later, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know he said that," and they're not gonna go and look up, "Hey, when did he say this?" Because they don't need to, right? Because, well, enough people are saying this, so I just believe them. And a lot of people now aren't going and using the internet. We have this thing that gives you this vast fucking, millions and millions and millions of fucking pages of information. I mean, that's not even scratching the surface, really. Dude, I think I had a little bit too much to drink, bro. But there's so much information on the internet. But nowadays, people hear something and they don't even bother to go and find the clip and listen to it for themselves. They just go, well, I heard that. Or they hear the clip that's out of context and don't go, hey, maybe I should listen to the full interview. Or, hey, maybe I should listen to a video that isn't edited by someone who clearly, or not even edited, is posted by someone who clearly does not like the person who's saying it. What Charlie Kirk is saying, do I agree? No, I think, like this guy says, sympathy and empathy, I mean, you can use both terms. I don't think necessarily it's some new age term or whatever. But a lot of people are now using empathy as a buzzword, so I kind of understand where he's coming from. It's a mixed bag, like this guy says, but for someone to try to manipulate that and make it seem like he doesn't have empathy for other people so that you can talk shit about him and morally grandstand him right after he dies, to me, I'm like, how do you not understand that what you're doing is 10 times worse than 100 times worse than what that person said? It's just these people, again, no self-awareness, no shame either in what they're doing, because they think they're right.
A virtue signal. That's a fucking virtue terrorist attack. Good God. So he does this classic backpedal but double down maneuver, where he ignores the fact that he originally said that we should feel nothing at his death, now adding this new sentiment that we should be the bigger people and show some empathy, while also doubling down on his empathy lie. That sentiment was short-lived in true Dark Viper fashion, as not...
Again, perfect point. And I missed that too. That he's gonna play the moral high ground again, and yeah, we should feel empathy for him after you already said you don't feel anything after his death, practically praising it. It's just so crazy. It's so crazy how the hypocrisy, they don't even try to hide it, or it seems like they don't, or maybe they're so far up their ass with their own bullshit, these types of people, that they don't seem to realize that they're exposing themselves in every other comment. Well, you're and contradicting themselves too. What a fucking idiot asshole.
Now adding this new sentiment that we should be the bigger people and show some empathy, while also doubling down on his empathy lie. That sentiment was short-lived in true Dark Viper fashion, as not even 3 hours later he keeps going on and on and on. If you care, pause the video because I ain't reading all these out. But the general sentiment of these posts are his feelings of how horrible of a person Charlie was, how much he hated Charlie. Occasionally he'll throw in the replay of how the murder was unjust, after of course reiterating how horrible of a person he saw Charlie to be. And just to be super duper clear and dispel a lie by this person, no, Dark Viper never claimed that Charlie's murder was justified. What he did do was make a shitty argument with very cringy moral reasoning at a very bad time. And regardless of if Dark Viper's claims about Charlie Kirk are right or wrong, the shit he is doing contradicts his empathy virtue signal, which is what I am criticizing. And it also contradicts this statement he made 12 days prior to Charlie's assassination. What does he actually feel? Well, we're about to get a new take from him thanks to Jeremy from the Quartering. That name might trigger a Winter Soldier moment for some audience members because Jeremy might be even more pathetic than Dark Viper.
Yes.
I welcome you all to do your own research on him.
I'm so glad too. This is what I really love about in the middle fucking types of people, is that they don't fucking like, oh well, you know, this guy, you know, he's more on my side, so I'm gonna, you know, go whatever. Like, no. Jeremy from the Quartering, and all those types of fucking shows, Geekdom or whatever, or Geek fucking Fest or whatever, and now even EFAP and shit, and the Critical Drinker, they're all turning into these fucking annoying, like anti-SJW, anti-woke fucking like clickbait channels that feed off of fake rage and fake negativity, and so many dumb people buy into it, you know, and I'm so glad that, like, this guy is just calling everyone out, like, hey, this guy's not safe just because he's talking shit about this guy, who also sucks, by the way. It feels like so many people nowadays, it's like, if I'm on one side, I have to be on the other. Like, no, just fucking take them all out, you know? The Quartering sucks.
But basically, the Quartering's a shitty right-wing grifter lolcow. To summarize why he's relevant today, after Charlie's death, Jeremy just fucking snapped. And basically, when Jeremy saw the tweets from Dark Viper, he just went fucking insane. Jeremy was on a mass campaign to get everyone who joked about Charlie Kirk canceled, including Dark Viper, who ended up receiving death threats. And to that I say, Dark Viper, you don't deserve death threats, harassment, doxing, etc. That's deplorable and wrong. But I feel it's only ironic that you reap what you sow. Again, it's fine to hate Charlie Kirk's politics, but it's just probably not the best idea to shit on his corpse before it's cold, while half the nation is mourning his death and then complaining about the consequences. That said, Jeremy is a fucking whiny idiot who should log off the internet forever. In his video response to Jeremy, he defends his use of dark jokes, which implies that his statements are jokes, which also implies a level of insincerity.
A political commentator that I don't particularly like in America has died. Not something I'm getting comments on. I don't really make those political statements on Twitter anymore. But
Yeah. This is so fucking classic. This is so classic. I'm gonna... Jesus. Maybe this is a fucking mistake. Alright, I'm better now. But this is just so classic. This is what these fucking assholes do. They make these legitimate fucking statements. We know they're legitimate because there's no hint of humor in what they're saying. Then they get called out on it. Then they double down on their take and try to fucking argue it. And then they change their opinion suddenly. And now I'm gonna be the better man and have empathy. And then later, 2 seconds later, it's, oh, well, I was telling a joke, guys. Like, which story is it? What excuse is it now? All right? And it's so funny because you're the type of fucking person that gets mad when people make these types of jokes about you that are 1,000 times less serious and less mild and less high stakes or whatever. Not high stakes, but you know what I mean. Like, this is literally right after a man's death. He was shot on stage and died. I guess not on stage, but whatever. Close to him, you know what I mean. But the guy was killed, and you're making this fucking, well, Charlie Kirk told me that he does not believe in fucking, empathy, so I won't have empathy for him, and your smug fucking posh asshole attitude. And, just go fuck yourself, bro. I'm so tired of these fucking hypocrites, bro. These virtue signaling fucking hypocrites who claim to be these fucking, I'm a good person, blah, blah, blah. I don't let's cancel people, let's get mad at people, and oh my god, he made a joke about me that was traumatizing, whatever. But then I'm gonna make this fucking shitty take, this horrible fucking asshole take, get called out for it, and then I'm gonna claim it's a joke. Oh, people in America, I don't know, a lot of humor nowadays. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
I saw commentary on his stances, and I was like, oh, that's actually morbidly ironic. Given that they were posted with hundreds of thousands of likes, I was like, oh, well, I guess, the conversation about this is kind of over anyway. If something's getting hundreds of thousands of likes, it must have been talked about for quite a while at this point. I mean, whatever my contribution, who would focus on what I would say amongst these posts that have like 500,000 likes? Surely not some cloud goblin, war-desiring person named Jeremy. I am, however, a person who likes dark jokes. If you've ever seen one of my out-of-context videos, I make a lot of dark jokes.
He then pulls a wild card on us by playing a 2-minute compilation of said dark jokes, in which half of them are just jokes about him liking kids.
But Your Honor, she was almost 16. Sir, she's 13 and a half. That's almost 16.
He then goes on to explain how it's morbidly ironic how Charlie Kirk died in a school shooting given his previous takes against gun control.
And Charlie Kirk, a person who openly said that deaths from gun violence are necessary for Americans to have the rights that they do, and further, a person who downplayed the significance of school shootings every chance he got, died in a school shooting. I, like half the planet, observed that it is morbidly ironic.
Which I have to say, if you know anything about American proposed gun laws, you know how fucking dumb this statement is. The gun used to kill Charlie Kirk was a Mauser bolt-action rifle, a rifle commonly used for hunting. Most proposed gun laws in the U.S. look to ban automatic weapons or assault weapons. So even if Charlie Kirk wasn't against gun control, which somehow caused all the assault weapons and all the automatic weapons to vanish in thin air, he still would have been killed because the gun used would have been unaffected. Dark Viper should know this well if he wants to talk about irony, because that rifle is legal in Australia, the nation known for its strict gun laws.
You think this guy did the fucking research on that? No. You think any of these fucking people do the research on that? No. And did I do the research on it? No. And you know why? Because I'm not making these fucking asshole douchebag claims on anybody. I'm like, this is the thing. There's so many people that want to just get these talking points out. And they want to get these talking points out and act as if they're saying something. And then they don't seem to realize that when you're talking about something that you don't understand, you're going to look like a fucking idiot. That's why I don't really like to talk about a lot of things, because I don't keep up with the news. I'm not a political person. I don't want to speak on shit that I don't really know and look like a fucking idiot asshole. But there's so many people nowadays that love just exposing themselves to be completely fucking moronic. And instead of being like, hey, listen, I'm not a political person, I don't really know. Instead they want to or not even political person, I'm not a fucking genius, but I want to pretend I am. So I want to be this fucking like genius, and I'm like, oh yeah, well it's ironic, isn't it? Because and it's like you don't even know what you're talking about. Like you don't did you even do an iota of research before you made your shitty fucking comments? You know what I mean? And there's so many people like that now. You know, and maybe it's just hard to fall into the trend of just like I want to have my talking point on this situation, even though I don't really understand what's going on. I want to have some sort of relevant There's people like that. There are people like that that need to make a comment on everything, even when they have really nothing to add, and so that they make up some fucking bullshit. It's so crazy, bro. I mean, this is kind of the example of this video. I have nothing to add, so I'm just bullshitting watching this guy's video, and this is a really great video, dude. Like, I hope it blows up like his other, like his first Content Cop one. This is legitimately what Content Cop should have been, because we always talk about like, oh, how good iDubbbz used to be. But let's be honest with you, like the Content Cop thing, like it seemed like he gave up on it way too quickly. Like right when it was peaking, it kind of stopped. And then of course, you know, everything that happened with his pretend journey and finding empathy or whatever at age 32, you know, it's just like, it's so sad. It's so sad. It's like, wow, iDubbbz was the biggest what could have been YouTuber, because he never truly got into that next level. He was big for like two to 3 years, but really the most big in 2016 to 2017, and then he basically killed his own career by not uploading very frequently, becoming less and less funny. I'm not even going to talk about the relationship with Anissa, because, you know, who gives a fuck? You know, I think she's a bitch. I think she's a horrible person. I think both of them are fake people, but I don't necessarily blame her for changing him. I think that Ian is a weak person, and this was inevitable, that he was going to become this, and it's really sad. This guy's only got 81,000 subscribers. I think he should have more. I'm subscribed.